Hi, my name is Pop. I am making a video in Ubuntu Basics for YouTube. I am talking about LibreOffice Writer, the word processor, and in this video I'm going to be showing how you can add live chapter numbers to your headers. I'm also going to show how to make a table of contents and also show how you can automatically number all of your chapters. In a prior video I showed how to add page numbers live to each word processor document in the header, and we are on page 848 out of 887. This is a very lengthy document. Let me go briefly to Tools and get a word count. The word count in this is 138,000 words. This is the size of a paperback book. It is in fact an entire novel length book with 250 chapters, each exceedingly short. I've got up here on the right the navigator. Let me turn that off briefly, and this is just the word processor itself. You can pull up the navigator in two different ways. One is to go to View, and at the bottom here you can see where it says Navigator, and you can click it and it'll open up. The other thing you can do, of course, is just hit F5. I'll do that now. F5, and there's the navigator. I have them sized using Compiz so that both of them appear on the screen. I can move them around, of course, like that. I can do that with Compiz. But I wanted to show you how good this works. I'm going to move up to chapter 229 right here, and when I hit enter, it's going to go right to chapter 229. That's not page 229. That is page 794 out of 887, but it's the beginning of chapter 229. And here's the heading for the chapter, and here's that chapter's heading in the header. Now, let me just move my cursor here, and you can see up in the top it's going to say pre-formatted text. This is just the style of regular text, and if I go down a line, it's just going to say that until I get to the header, and there it says heading because that's the one I selected. You've got to select one of these. Now you can pick header, heading, or heading 1, and then as you indent, heading 2, heading 3. Whatever you do, be consistent. Just pick one, and it's the same one all the time. See, now there, that one's heading 1, and the attributes of it changed, and I wanted to use this attribute. Now I even changed the attribute. You can go in there and edit the attributes in such a manner that in this case I underlined it, and in this case I made it turn blue. I only turned it blue like this in order to show it good on the video. Now the navigator is very handy. It is sort of like a table of contents in that you can have it up on the screen all the time, and you can go to any chapter you want to. Here is chapter 238, and when I hit enter, it goes to chapter 238. The other thing you can do, of course, the thing that you do mostly, is to go into your word processor, and then when you hit page down, it pages down, but remember, your screen will not show an entire page at once, and there's a little bit of overlap. Like the last word down here is away, and when I hit page down, it's got a 2-line overlap, you see. And then down here the last word is and when I hit enter, and is the last word on that page, and then there's a page break, and then I've got a header, and the header is the next page. When I hit page down, it still shows. The other thing you can do with the navigator is to actually go to the top of the next or the prior page, like this. I'm on page 840, 841, 842, 843, 844, 845, or backwards. And in this manner, boy, you can really jump around. Here I'm going to go to chapter 222. Now let me get rid of the navigator for a second, and I'm going to show you the table of contents. I'm going to hold down the control key and hit the home key, and I'm going to go to the beginning of the document, and I have a table of contents here. Now the table of contents works just exactly like the navigator, except it won't stay on the screen. Here I am on let me just pick chapter 6 here. If I hold down the control key and then hit the trackpad in the center, it's supposed to go to chapter 6. And there, I'm at chapter 6. But guess what? Now I can't navigate back. So that's a one-shot deal. The table of contents, though, will print when you print the document if you want it to. And you can reconfigure this to show in 2 columns and so forth. You can also print it at the back of your paper if you want to. I am going to show you now how you can add this all to your own header, and in order to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from scratch, not use this document, but I'm going to take a blank document and start from scratch, and then I'm going to make this not quite so lengthy though, and I'll show you exactly how to do it. But probably I'll be making mistakes and such, so I'm going to terminate this video, and then I'm going to start over again, and I'll just add these 2 videos together. Well, here I am back again. The video that I made at the beginning I renamed to A, and I'm going to add that to this video that I'm presently speaking on right now. And the video that I'm making right now is automatically named 1, and I'll change that to B, and then I'm going to use a method to add together the 2 videos, and I'll say add together A and B and call it C, and that's the one I'm going to turn into YouTube. This is the actual text file, the very, very large book link thing that I had up before. Let me just open that up again, and I want to show you something, what you can do with this. That's not the end of it. You can take this and export it into a PDF file, and the PDF file is just wonderful. I'm going to export it now, and I'm going to show you how long it takes. It does not take very long at all. It's going to have the same title, but instead of saying title.odt, it's going to say title.pdf. And when I hit save, remember this is the size of a full-length novel, and it's doing it right now, and it doesn't take very long at all. Any document that you have will not be any 130,000 words, so it's going to take far, far less time. As soon as this thing finishes, we're going to take a look at it, and I will open it up right here. And it has navigatable features also. Let me zoom in on it. Perhaps it'll be easier to see. The zoom feature here, I can widen the chapters. In fact, I think I'm going to get out of the zoom business, and we're just going to make this thing full page. There, that's better. The PDF document has this feature built into it. The contents show over here to the side, and boy, that's quick, isn't it? And each chapter it'll go right to the chapter like that. Now I put my table of contents in as a chapter, so I can go right to it at the beginning. It says table of contents right here. That's actually chapter 1, see? And so it's going to show up here. The table of contents is going to list the table of contents, and it'll be on page 1. And the actual novel itself begins on page 8. Now remember, PDF files are different than the ODT files. When you print them out, they're going to look a whole lot different. When you go to them, there is no actual print preview. This is the print preview, right? Whereas when you go to your document that is the ODT file and you look at print preview, it's going to show up very differently. If you go to print preview on this thing, it will show up full page and so forth, but you can show it 2 pages at a time like this, or 1 page at a time like this, and you can go bigger, bigger, bigger. Like that. This is the table of contents, and this is actually the first page of the document. And this has got such a large number of chapters, you've got to go 8 pages before the actual thing starts. And when I start the thing, it's double spaced. Now, before printing such a thing as this, you would want to remove the colored chapter titles, because otherwise that would show up as gray and so forth. Okay, well, let me get out of this, and I'm going to just start from scratch, and I'll make you one. First we go to Applications, Office, then we go to LibreOffice Writer, and I've got now a blank document. Well, there's nothing in the document, so let's just put chapter 1 right here. This is chapter 1. Oh, it says one-handedly. I don't know how to stop doing that. I'm going to now copy 1 repeatedly, Control C, and then Control V, 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 and then I'll control all of that, and we're going to make chapter 1, and it'll be a couple of pages long. Now I'll move down a line, and I'm going to make chapter 2. Copy, paste, 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 paste. And then of course chapter 3 and so on. I'll just make 3 chapters. They don't have to be more than a couple pages long in order to demonstrate the effect, but I think a couple pages long would be necessary, because otherwise you're going to have one header that shows only 1 chapter, even though there are 2 chapters on the page. That was what I ran into with my exceedingly short chapters in that example. Now, when we do this, we've first of all got to put headings in at the beginning of each chapter, and I'll leave space to do that. This is going to be 3. Let me just make 3 like this. And that's enough of that. Let me go to the beginning of chapter 3, and I'm going to go up here to where it says default, and I'm going to put in heading 1. You have to be consistent, and I'm just going to put in 3. Now I'm going to go to the beginning of chapter 2, and I'm going to go to heading 1 again, and I'll put in 2. And then at the beginning of chapter 1, I'll put in 1. And remember, you've just got to be consistent. The next thing that you do is you are going to go up here to Tools, and you're going to go to outline numbering, and you're going to go to numbering, and it already picked heading 1. It has some sort of artificial intelligence built in. And then I'm going to pick a number style. I'll just pick a simple one, 1. And they say, do you want to put something in front of it? I'll put in the word chapter. And then afterwards I'm going to put space, space, dash, dash. And up here you'll see that's what it's going to look like. It's going to say chapter, and then whatever the number is, dash, dash, and then whatever the heading is. And the heading is going to change, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Now, if I did it right, chapter 1 is going to say whatever the name of chapter 1 is. And if I go down to chapter 2, it'll say 2. And chapter 3, it'll say 3. Now, if I hit F5, or if I go to View Navigator, which is F5, it's going to show my chapters. So if I go up here and hit Enter, it'll go to 2. And if I go up here to 1, it'll go to 1. Now the last thing to do is to put in the table of contents. The table of contents, you don't have to do that. I mean, that's kind of extra. Oops, look what happened. I didn't leave room, and I'm now in heading. And I don't want to be in heading. I want to be in default. Now I want to insert the table of contents, so I go Insert, and it's way down here, Indexes and Tables, Indexes and Tables, Enter. And nothing happened. Not yet. The title of the table of contents comes up as a default, and I'm just going to type in my table of contents. And then the entries, sometimes it picks the right one and sometimes it doesn't. Chapter number, that'll be the number, followed by the text of the entry. Let's see if it grabbed it. Otherwise, what you have to do is grab this here, hit hyperlink, then go to the end of it and hit hyperlink again. But let's see if it does it. Yeah, it already got it. And remember, it's the same thing. The table of contents will show the same sort of business as does the navigator, but every time you use the table of contents, you lose the table of contents as far as navigability goes. See, I'm in 2, but now I've got to go to Control Home to go back. Well, I don't guess that's so bad. Control Home is not so bad. Control and then hit the trackpad, goes to 3, then Control Home, and I'm back home. Now the next thing I want to do is insert the header. And there's my header. Now insert fields. Let me first put in page numbers and stuff like that. Page number 1 of space, insert fields, page count. This is a 4-page document. And then on the second line, I'm going to put in down here insert fields, and this time I'm going to hit other, and I've got to link this stuff. Now this is what's tricky. I'm going to put in the chapter number, insert, and then I'm going to put in the chapter name, insert. Do you see it happening over there? And then close. So I'm in chapter 2, and let me go page up, page up, page up. I'll go to the very beginning. Okay, in the header on page 1, it says I'm on chapter 1. Makes sense? Let me page down. On page 2, I'm still on chapter 1. Do you see it up there? On page 3, I'm on chapter 2. Now, here's the deal. Chapter 3 will not show on this header because chapter 3 does not go beyond this page. However, if I were to have a longer chapter 3, it'll show up on the next page in the header as chapter 3. Let me just make a bunch of more. Chapter 3 is now showing on page 8. And chapter 3 is on page 7. And page 6, page 5. But when we get to page 4, chapter 2 is showing, and that's because chapter 3 starts further down on page 2. That's very logical. It makes sense. That's the way it's supposed to be. Well, I hope that this has been useful to you. I can show you a little bit more things you can do to goof with this. I'm in the header, and remember, when you're in a header, you can change the format of it by going to paragraph, and you can go to background, and you can turn it blue. Shazam. And when you are here, you can go format, paragraph, turn it blue. Okay, it didn't work. There. And now that was just the one, was it not? Because I didn't change chapter 2, but there is a way that you can go in and also change chapter 2. You can also change the chapter 2 type of text and do it universally. That's pretty much all I got. The rest of it is all detail work. My name is Pop, and this is my 95th video for YouTube, and I thank you all very much, and I hope this was useful.